here's how this routine is going to work. There are going to be 2 exercises paired together. You're going to do those exercises back to back, and then you're going to rest. Somewhere between 60 to 120 seconds, depending on how you feel, your fitness level, and the amount of time you have. In this case, we're not really trying to train your cardiovascular system. We're not necessarily trying to get your heart rate up and keeping it up. What I'm really focused on in this routine is the building of power or explosiveness. So if you're breathing heavily and you're exhausted and you can't perform during the first exercise of each pair, then you need to rest a little bit longer. You're going to do each pair at least 1 time through, up to 3 times through. So if you've been exercising for a little bit longer, you're relatively strong, you're going to do that first pair 3 times, and then you're going to move on to the next pair. If you're a little newer to exercise, you're going to do that first pair just once, and then you're going to move on to the next pair. You're going to do this through all of the pairs of exercises. Exercise number 1 is a lateral skip. So for this exercise, I want you first to get yourself in a position to get coordinated. So ultimately, this is going to be a power exercise. So we're going to be pushing into the floor really hard and lifting feet up. But to get started, what you're going to do is set yourself up by getting prepared to lift up one leg. So I am lifting up my right leg, and other arm, opposite arm, is going to come forward. So right arm goes back, left arm comes forward. From here, you're going to start to march, and you're going to alternate sides. So just a good march. And if this is good enough for you, then you stay here. Otherwise, you can add a little skip. Just a little skip. You're barely coming up off the ground. You're just trying to get the motion here. And this is where it gets a little more challenging. You're going to start to move to the side, so laterally. Okay, so knee is still coming up high. Okay, if you start to lose that momentum or you start to lose that coordination, stop, get into that march again, add the skip, and start moving. Ultimately, what you're looking for here, again, you're going to start relatively low with just a little skip, but once you get the hang of this, you can add a little bit of power pushing really hard into the ground. I want you to think about a very sharp push into the ground as you come up into that skip. So instead of this heavy like this, okay, you're really going to make it sharp. So sharp movements. Okay, once you get the hang of the motion, you are doing that 10 times to each direction. Notice my heart rate is up just from demonstrating that exercise, so you're going to feel your heart rate come up as you do it. Exercise number 2 is a lunge twist. I'm going to show you the baseline lunge twist first, and then I'm going to show you some easier modifications if you need them, and some more difficult modifications if you would like an extra challenge. So the baseline exercise, you're going to stand with your feet directly under your hips, and from here, you're going to step back into a reverse lunge. So you're going to imagine your butt cheek of the standing leg, okay, the leg that's going to stay in front, is going to sit back into a chair behind you while you extend your leg behind you. Torso is going to lean forward just a little bit. You don't want to be extended like this. So it's going to lean forward, but not too much. It's kind of in the middle here. And you're going to step back into your lunge. Hands are going to be out in front of you, and you're going to twist towards your bent leg. Okay? So how it all looks when you put it together, arms are out, step back into your lunge, twist, and up. Okay? Now, that is not a very easy exercise. So you are always welcome to grab something for support, and you can twist your torso without twisting your arms. So you'll have one arm in front of you, and you're going to step back into your twist with support. If that's still too difficult, you can make this a split squat with support. So you'll grab a pillow or cushion underneath you. We showed you a split squat in one of our previous videos, but just to remind you, you're going to start in a half kneeling position. Front knee is going to be over where your shoelaces would be. Back toes are tucked. You're going to grab onto your support, assuming you need support here, and you're coming up a carousel pole. So torso stays fully upright here. So up you go, twist to the side, and back down. Up, twist, and down. If you need a little bit more for this exercise, if the first version, the reverse lunge and twist, was something you feel like you could take a little more challenge with, even though I almost fell over demonstrating that, you can grab a weight to do this with. So you're gonna grab a relatively light weight. Okay, you can use a kettlebell or dumbbells. And what you're gonna do is as you come down, you're going to, step one, keep the weight in towards you. So this is level one. So you're gonna twist with the weight in front of you like this. Or level two, weight comes out in front of you, you twist the weight out to the side, and you come back up, okay? So pick your level with that exercise, lots of options for you. You are going to do 8 repetitions on each side of that exercise. The skip came first, you went straight to this one. You're gonna feel your heart rate way up after doing this exercise. Take a good break before you go on to repeat that pair if you're repeating pairs, or before you move on to the next pair. Second pair, first exercise, is a crossover step. We're gonna start slow. This takes a lot of coordination. You can speed it up later if you want to. You're gonna need some pieces of paper on the floor to make yourself a little ladder. You're gonna set up those pieces of paper lengthwise like I have them, and you're gonna put a gap between each paper about paper size. So piece of paper, paper size gap, piece of paper, paper size gap. Don't get too crazy with it, it just needs to be approximate, okay? So you're gonna stand to the side of your first piece of paper. Outside leg is going to step into that blank spot. Inside leg is gonna step next to the next piece of paper. Then that first leg is going to come next to it. So now we're back in our starting position next to a piece of paper. Outside leg crosses into the blank spot. Inside leg crosses to be next to that front piece of paper, and then the other leg joins it, okay? So I'm gonna go a little faster. It might make more sense to see it faster. So cross, out, cross, cross, out, cross. Okay, so again, outside leg, inside leg, outside leg. Now, outside leg, inside leg, outside leg. Okay, so once you have gotten the hang of this movement, you can make this way faster and more explosive. So it could look a little bit more like this, okay? Like you're a football player running between tires or between a ladder, between rungs of a ladder, or a soccer player doing footwork drills. Ultimately, you're trying to get to that point, but again, the nice thing about this kind of power exercise is that it's low impact, joint friendly, and even if you have cranky knees or hips, this is something you should still be able to do. So one more time, the crossover looks like that. Pair number 2, exercise 2, is a step to squat. A few different levels here. So the baseline exercise, you're gonna stand with your feet under your hips. You're gonna step out to a wide squat type of position. So your feet are wide enough for you to squat. You're gonna squat down, come back up, and step back to your starting position. Then you're gonna go to the other side. Step out, squat, stand up, and in. Now notice my legs are relatively wide in my squat. That is a good observation if you notice that. It is totally dependent on your body. So your squat may be narrower like this. Your squat may look more like this, or your squat may look more like mine. Either way, what I want you to focus on is making sure that your butt doesn't start to tuck under you as you come down. And the best way to do that is to do this in front of a mirror because it's very hard to feel that sensation. So what you're going to do is when you squat down, your butt may start to do this. It may start to tuck under you. And notice how my back is starting to round? You want that nice flat back on the way down. So you accomplish that by imagining you're spreading the floor with your feet. You're gonna push back, push your hips back like you're sitting into a chair, and push the floor away to stand up, okay? That's the baseline. Now, if you want a little bit more challenge, you can add some weight, or we can add a little bit multi-planar movement here. So you're gonna start in that same position, feet directly under your hips, but instead of stepping to the side, you're gonna step into, say, a 90-degree angle from where you were. So you're starting here, you're ending up here. You squat, you come up, and you pivot back to your original starting position. Same thing to the other side, pivot, squat, up, and back to the starting position. And again, you're welcome to grab a weight to hold at your chest while you do this exercise. You're gonna do 8 repetitions to each side. Last pair, exercise number 1, so 1 being your power exercise. Option 1 is scissors. I'm gonna turn to the side so you can see this. You're gonna start in a staggered stance. So feet under your hips, and then you're just going to take a small step backwards with one leg. Your back toes are gonna line up with your front heel. So take a look down, make sure that they're lined up. Okay, so it's not a wide stance like this, it's really a more narrow stance. And from here, you're gonna hop and switch legs. Hop, hop, okay? That speed, hop and land may be enough for you. If you want a little bit more, you can make it continuous. Hop, 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 hop. And then if you want a little bit more from here, you can add a little power and get a little bit of height in it. But remember, all jumping exercises are more about the landing than the launching. So you should be able to land softly no matter how high you go. Think about a baby sleeping in the next room and you don't want to wake the baby up by slamming your feet on the floor. So even if you're jumping high, you're still landing relatively softly. 3 options for scissors. If you feel like, man, I got those scissors down, I want a little bit more, you can try a jump lunge. So we're gonna take a step back into our lunge. And from here, again, it's not about doing lots and lots of repetitions to get yourself tired. It's about really trying to power yourself up and get good explosiveness out of your legs. So if you choose this option, you're gonna do fewer reps, and I'll tell you all the reps at the end. So with a jump lunge, you're gonna come down, you're gonna load, and then as high as you can, land softly. As high as you can, land softly. And notice when I land, my knee is not pushing over my front toes, and it's not pushed way back here. I'm landing with control. My foot is controlling my movement too. I'm not letting it collapse in, so my knee isn't collapsing in. It's nice and steady. So when you land, knee stays steady in the front. This is a very challenging exercise, and I really only want you trying this option if you're a very experienced exerciser and you can really master that landing, because again, jumping is all about the landing. Now, in terms of reps, if you're doing scissors, okay, if you're doing the scissors, you're doing 10 on each leg, so 10 in each direction. If you're doing the jump lunges, you're just doing 5 per side. Last exercise is a plank drag through, which is a great upper body exercise, and it is also a multi-planar exercise. So you're gonna need a small weight for this one. You can use a kettlebell, dumbbell, or sack of rice, whatever you got lying around. Start with a relatively light weight to start, okay? So we're gonna get into a plank position. Our weight is going to be to our side. So it's gonna be right outside my hands toward my knees here. You're gonna start in an all-fours position. Wrists directly into your shoulders. Now screw your hands into the ground, okay? From here, you're gonna step back into your plank. Feet are gonna be about hip width distance apart. And pull your ribs down toward your belly button. Pull your ribs down toward your belt buckle. You don't want your butt to sag. By imagining pulling your ribs down, it'll help make sure that your butt stays up and your core stays engaged. From here, you may need to make your feet a little bit wider so that you can maintain a good stable base of support. You're gonna reach your outside hand through. So here I have my weight next to my right hand. My left hand is going to reach underneath my body to grab that weight. So I'm gonna reach through and drag it to the other side. Then I'm gonna reach through with my opposite hand and drag it to the other side, okay? To make this exercise more challenging, all you need to do is bring your feet a little bit closer. I promise it'll get harder. What I want you to watch for, though, as you try to do that, your hips are gonna try to move side to side as you drag. You wanna keep your hips completely still, and that's the real challenge of this exercise, keeping your body completely still as you drag that weight from side to side. This is a very, very challenging exercise. Most people cannot do this exercise correctly. So if you need to modify down, here are some options. Option 1, ditch the weight. Don't use the weight at all, just imagine you're reaching for something. So you can stay in that full plank, imagine you're reaching for something, okay? Or you can use something really light, like a piece of paper or an envelope. Option 2 is to elevate yourself. So I have my bench here. You can use any sturdy surface like a couch or a sturdy chair that's pushed up against a wall. Just make sure that it's not going to move when you put your weight on it. So I don't have enough room on my bench to put a weight to use to drag, but you probably will if you're using a couch. So feel free to grab a weight and set up just like we did on the floor with the weight right outside one hand. Okay, so from here, you're going to get into that perfect plank position. So shoulders are going to be directly over your wrists. Pull those ribs down toward your belly button. You're going to reach through and drag, reach through and drag. And again, if you don't want to use a weight here, totally fine. You're going to just pretend like I did to grab something. Again, the wider your feet are or the higher the surface, the easier this is going to be. So if you need to modify down, you're going to make your feet wider. You're going to use a higher surface. You can even use a wall to start and just pretend you're dragging things from the side of the wall. And as you get better, you're going to lower yourself closer and closer to the floor and bring your feet closer together. For this exercise, you're going to do 10 on each side, which is very challenging. So if you find you can only do a few on the floor and then you have to go to an elevated surface, that is perfect. I just want you to finish the set. So again, you can start on the floor with a couple reps, go to the elevated surface, widen your feet, maybe even drop the weight for the last few. Just get through all 10 repetitions to each side. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video, and I hope you enjoy that exercise routine. Again, the objective of today's exercise routine is to improve and increase your resilience. And again, we talked about this. Resilience has 3 components: strength, power, and multiple planes of motion. So we addressed all of those in this routine. If you enjoyed it, please like and share this video. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them below. I try to respond to all comments and questions. And if you ask a great question, it might be the topic of a future video. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Take care, guys.